Hello everyone, my name is Rajan. I have completed my bachelor's in information technology from Mumbai University. I am a Microsoft certified IT professional. I am also a Microsoft certified technology specialist, and currently I am pursuing program in information security management from MIL Academy. Well, the topic for today's presentation is IT security best practices for every corporate user. Well, you can think of a scenario where you are the CEO of a company. Now, being the CEO, what might be your main aim? It's like you might think of earning more and more profits to enhance the customer satisfaction, to fulfill all their customer requirements. Now, to run a business, you will have to fulfill the customer requirements, the legal requirements, there might be some stakeholders requirements, and there might be some contractual agreements. You need to comply with some standards to earn more business, to earn more profits. So, adhering to the standards and running a business, if you are unaware of the standards, you might implement a lot of security controls which might hamper your usability. So, to continue with the business with the adequate amount of security, how is it possible that you achieve all your business objectives? How is it possible that you leverage your risks and provide better performance? How is it possible that you make the efficient utilization of the resources and you comply to the standards in a successful way? So the first step to achieving the standards or to running the business in an efficient and effective manner is to comply with the best practices. If you are implementing best practices, then it is possible to comply with the organization's policies, standards and procedures in a very effective manner. Now this is a CEO. He has to deliver value, aligning IT with the business. He has to implement security. He has to keep the IT running. He has to manage the complexity within the organization. And he has to comply with the standards and procedures. Now, what are the best practices? The best practice is a technique or methodology that through experience and research has proven to reliably lead to a desired result. These best practices have been implemented by many organizations and later they have come into effect and they have led to a desired result. They have helped the organizations to achieve their business objectives. A best practice can evolve to become better, and as improvements are discovered, the best practices can be improved as technology advancements are made, as new threats and new vulnerabilities have been found out. Now, how does best practices benefit my organization? It helps my organization to become more competitive, helps to become more effective, efficient, improve my skills, reduce my waste, and increase my sales, and to respond more quickly to innovations. Now, while implementing the best practices, you need to take care of some aspects of information security. Now, the information security objectives are aligned to the business objectives. So, you need to take care of a lot of aspects, 6 different aspects, that is the security management, the business applications, computer installations, networks, systems development, and the end user environment. Now, think of as an end user. Now, what all these activities does an end user do? He accesses some computing devices, he accesses some applications, and he uses some electronic communication such as VoIP networks and telephony. So we need to implement best practices for all this so that they can implement better security controls. Now the first one is the local security management. In this, we will move on to the roles and responsibilities which need to be enforced on every individual. So the roles and responsibilities are: a business management should be responsible to take care of the entire responsibility of the end user management. There should be documented standards and procedures which should be approved and updated. The terms and conditions of employment should include the information security responsibilities extend even after the working hours of the employee. And the information security responsibilities extend even after the termination of the employee. It also includes the legal responsibilities and the rights, and it should also include a non-disclosure or the confidentiality clause. The individuals using systems should be assigned clear responsibilities. They should be able to maintain the systems correctly. They should be competent enough to deal with the errors, exceptions and emergency conditions. They should be sufficient enough to handle in case of an emergency or in case of excessive workloads. The external individuals should also follow the terms and conditions. The staff should accept the terms and conditions, and the staff, while before employment, they should undergo a thorough screening or a background check. Now the second is the security awareness. Now the people, it's found that the people are the weakest link in the organization. So there is a need for awareness training within the organization. The awareness training should be the responsibility of a particular individual or a group. It should be updated according to the business requirements and the updated threats. It should aim at reducing the frequency and magnitude of the information security incidents, and it should be measurable. The users should be made aware of the meaning of information security, the need for information security, and why is there a need for the information security? To comply with the information security policy. They should also be aware of their personal responsibilities. Now, many times it happens that the employees reveal a lot of business information while talking over the phone in public areas. So how this can be prevented? So they need to inculcate awareness in the minds of the end users so that the data leakage can be prevented. Now the users should be made aware that they are prohibited from unauthorized use, unauthorized copying of third-party software, downloading illegal material, making sexual, obscene or harassing statements, compromising passwords, and tampering with the evidence which is collected during the incidents. So moving on to the third topic, it's information classification. Information classification is very vital, and the information should be classified based on the confidentiality of the information. The information classification scheme should be established to classify the information in paper form, which can be done through adhesive labels, holograms, or through rubber stamps. An information classification scheme should be established to classify information in paper form. The information in paper form can be classified using holograms, adhesive labels, or rubber stamps. The information stored in electronic form can be classified using headers and footers or file naming conventions. The electronic communications can be classified by using digital signatures and digital certificates. An inventory of the information classification details should be maintained. Now, the details recorded should include the classification of information, the details about the owner, and the brief description of the information that is classified. Now, moving on to the next topic, it's corporate business applications. Now, think from a user perspective. What are the applications? What do we need to manage in an application? That is the access control and the change management. So, moving on to the first, that is access control. The users of the application should be identified, they must be authenticated, and they must be provided with a minimum functionality. The users' access rights should be restricted on a need-to-know basis or on a need-to-restrict basis. They should be restricted based on their roles. They should be restricted by providing menus such as a drop-down box or a combo box. It should be authorized by the owner. They should be revoked promptly when they are no longer required. They should be upgraded based on the new threats, and they should be logged, and the user's access rights should be reviewed every 6 months, and every special access rights such that of a system admin should be reviewed within every 3 months. So what do we need to ensure? We need to ensure that the user IDs are unique, the passwords are not displayed on the screen or printouts, the passwords are changed regularly, restrict the use of passwords, and the users do not write down or share their passwords with anyone. Now moving on to the next topic, it's change management. So there should be a change management process in place that should be implemented by the organization. Now every change that is made in the organization should be documented. Now it begins with a change management request. If there is a need to change an application or modify a system, or there should be need to change a process, then this change request is forwarded to the change advisory board. This change advisory board assesses the need for change, it assesses about the impact of the change, whether it would affect the security policy, whether it would affect the legal requirements, and after assessing, they make a test of the change to check out whether this change would create a new vulnerability or it would create a need for a new change. And later they approve the change and they need to be reviewed for a particular period of time. Now moving on to the next topic, it's computing devices. Now the computing devices include the workstation protection and the portable storage devices. The workstation protection involves protection of the laptop, PCs, desktops, etc. Now how these workstations can be protected? By using authentication methods, by using system management tools, access control mechanisms, up-to-date malware protection softwares, encryption softwares, and providing physical and environmental controls to protect them from theft and damage. Moving on to the next topic, it's portable storage devices. The portable storage devices include laptops, portable USBs, hard drives, etc. Now, there should be documented standards for the use of portable storage devices. There should be standards or procedures which should include the type of portable storage devices which is permitted. That is, laptops are permitted, but the portable hard drives are not permitted. Restrictions on the use of portable storage devices. That is, the laptops can be used to store only business information and not the personal information. The type of information that can be transferred. That is, the laptops can be used to transfer only business data, that is involving PPTs, spreadsheets, Word documents, etc. and not any movies or songs, etc. The encryption technology that is used and the rights of the organization regarding ownership of the information stored on portable storage devices. It means that even if the personal data is stored on the enterprise laptop, the ownership of the data is in the hands of the organization itself. The portable devices should be protected by using physical locks, using indelible marking and attaching identification labels. Now we are completed with the computing devices. We move on to the next topic, it's electronic communications. With the first is instant email and instant messaging. Now we need to implement best practices with emails and instant messaging. The email messages should be scanned. So now we are implementing best practices in terms with protecting emails and instant messaging. So every email messages that is sent within the organization or outside the organization should be scanned. There should be proper guidelines for business and personal use. That is, we should not use any abusive or offensive language. The user guidelines for acceptable use. The email servers should be reviewed. It means that the email servers should be reviewed so that we can ensure that even if there is future work loads on the server, we can ensure that there is continuity of the servers. Users should be educated on how to protect the confidentiality and integrity of the email messages, which can be established using digital signatures and digital certificates. Personal emails should be labeled as personal and should be subject to the terms of a user agreement. The organization should prohibit the use of web-based email. It should prohibit automatic email direction to a personalized email address, that is Gmail or Hotmail, etc. It prohibits the opening of attachments from untrusted sources because it can contain malwares. The email system should provide protection by blocking the messages, by using digital signatures, and by ensuring non-repudiation of the origin of the message, that is the sender. The sender cannot deny it, and even the receiver cannot deny that he has sent the message. Moving on to the next topic, it's internet access. Now, every activity performed on the internet should be monitored. There should be documented standards for internet access. The workstations connected to internet should be completely patched, and there should be restriction on the downloading of mobile code because mobile codes can be executed even from a remote place, even from a remote machine. There should be a use of personalized firewalls. The use of HIDs is very vital, and the user should be warned of the dangers posed by downloading mobile code and the implications of accepting and rejecting cookies because it can cause a session hijacking attack. Now moving on to the third topic, it's wireless access. The wireless access should be protected by the use of network access control. This IEEE 802.1x protocol helps in mutual authentication between the clients and the servers, and it can also be protected by using device authentication, user authentication, by changing the encryption keys frequently. The critical wireless access connections should be protected using VPNs. The wireless access points should be configured and managed from a central location. There should be a broadcast of a unique SSID, and it should be protected using a firewall. Every wireless activity should be monitored using a WIDS, and there should be some mechanism to detect the rogue wireless access points. Now moving on to the next topic, it's environment management. The first is information privacy. The individuals about whom the PII is held should have their approval sought before the information is copied from one location to another, or they are used for some other purposes, or they are disclosed to third parties. The individuals should be informed of how this information will be used. They should be able to correct the accuracy, check its accuracy, and they should be able to have the records corrected or removed when required. The data owner should know the location of where the PII is stored and how and when this PII will be used. The stored or processed PII should be adequate, they should be accurate, they should be relevant, and they should not be excessive, and they should be fairly used for, and they should be kept confidential. Every PII should be retrievable in the event of a request. The next is the backup. The backup is a very important process. The backup should be protected by storing the media on site. They can also be protected by keeping the copies off site, which can be used in case of a disaster. There should be restrictions on the access on the backup copies only to authorized staff. There should be documented procedures for performing backups, which covers the type of information to be backed up, the backup cycles, and the methods of performing backups. Backups should be performed in accordance with the defined backup cycle. They should be done using timestamps. They should be reconciled with the live version. The backup should be protected with the same level of, the backup should be provided with the same level of protection as live information. They should be recorded and verified. The backup should be performed in accordance with the defined backup cycle. It should be done using timestamps in the live processes. It should be reconciled with the live version. They should be recorded and they should be verified. They should be clearly and accurately labeled. They should be protected from accidental overwriting, and they should be protected with the same level of protection as live information. They should be retained for at least 3 generations of the backup cycle. Now the last is the business continuity. The business continuity is continuing with the business operations with the predefined acceptable level. Now the service continuity arrangement should be documented, it should be reviewed, approved by the owner, it should be tested and updated following the significant changes. It should be aligned with the enterprise level BCP. The BCP should specify the conditions for its invocation. At first, it's an event. The event gives rise to an incident, and in the later stage, it's called as a disaster. So the BCP is executed in cases of a disaster. So the recovery task should be carried out in priority order. The BCP should also specify the responsibilities of the individuals, and the individuals should be made aware of the responsibilities assigned to them in case of a BCP. It should cover the prolonged unavailability of the people due to sickness or illness, information due to information leakage or unavailability of data, applications due to an application error or a system crash, computer equipment due to a DOS attack, network equipment or cabling might be due to some rodent attacks, office accommodation, buildings and communications due to occupants such as military or police or forensic experts, the essential services such as oil, water, power outage, etc. There should be reciprocal arrangements in place, such as you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It means that organizations have tie-ups with other organizations. So in case of a disaster in our organization, we can continue with the business operations in the tie-up organization, that is a secondary organization. So this is a reciprocal arrangement. Even in case of their disaster, they can come to our organization and continue with the business process. The testing is done to ensure that operations recover within the time scales, after which the outage is unacceptable to the organization. It can be done by carrying out tests to run the application from a remote backup site, and it can be done by carrying out realistic simulations. Thus, we can conclude that IT security best practices, if implemented with justice, can help the organization to achieve the business objectives, goals and its mission effectively and efficiently by establishing a balance between security, functionality and usability. Well, that's all from my side. This is Alex Rajan signing off. Thank you.